Hi, y'all. Thanks for being here. How we doing? Yeah.
Good, everyone.
Energy up, energy up.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Just want to take a second and thank the staff and the faculty here at the center and the founders and all the team at NFT.NYC. Thank you so much for bringing us all together and really kind of bringing this community so that we can kind of bring this message out to you guys. So thank you to everybody working the event. I know how hard it is to put these things on. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into it. I want to introduce myself. My name is Tim Livingston, VectorBot Tim. We'll go down the line. We'll talk a little bit about who we are and what we're doing that's a little bit different in the space. So what I'm doing that's different in the space is I'm an educator from Web 2. I was a teacher back in 2021, and what I'm doing is I'm just trying to scale my classroom to the whole world using NFTs as the vehicle. So we'll move it down the line and let these amazing folks here on this panel to introduce themselves and tell you what they're doing that's different in the space.
Hi, I'm Katie Rago. I am also a former teacher who left during COVID and discovered Web3 and has jumped feet first in. I'm looking to drive education in Web3, onboard children, and use my educational platform to build alongside all these wonderful people that are in Web3 and NFTs.
Hi, my name's John Attanasio, and I'm one of the founders of Toonstar. Toonstar, we call ourselves a Web3 story studio. What we're focused on really is building original entertainment IP on the blockchain, and we do it through various ways of like interactive storytelling and unique community experiences. Our first project in Web3 was called The Gimmicks, which was the first community-driven animated series in Web3. We co-produced it with Mila Kunis, and we can get into probably some of the utility in there, but there were a lot of sort of like Web3 firsts that were attached to the Gimmicks project. It was the first weekly animated series. It was community driven, so the community could vote on the episodes. We also built a social layer attached to it, which it was called I can't make it up, but it's called the Dick Punch. And it actually, we spell it differently. It stands for decentralized inclusive community, but it actually was it was the first social layer in Web3. So that's something different that we're doing on a project, and we're about to launch a project in 2 weeks that's going to have some pretty cool utility with it. So that's what we're focused on.
Hi, I'm Robin Arzón. We have former teacher. I'm a former lawyer, so I'm still recovering, honey, okay? I was a corporate litigator, and then I moved into wellness. I guess I liken to a professional athlete. I'm a marathoner, ultramarathoner, New York Times bestselling author, children's book author, and now recently founder of Swagger Society, which is one of the first lifestyle membership clubs in Web3, really focused on self-actualization, self-determination, principles that I've poured into my books and my masterclass and the Web2 community that I've been building for over 10 years. And I'm really excited to be able to utilize Web3 technology to go deeper with my audience and to really dive headfirst into the creator economy and what all that can unlock for us. And but above all, like, Swagger Society is for people who want to get shit done. I want to light fires under people's asses so they have an urgency in their lives. And I think topically, this is something that Web3 is really missing. And so I believe that when we wake up in the morning, we're always wearing an invisible crown. So I just decided to build a fucking kingdom. And that's what I'm about.
Let's go. That fired me up. Hello, everyone. My name is Andy Krainak. I'm the president of VFriends. Something that we are doing different in Web3. We're hosting a super conference known as VCon.
Woo!
Yeah, hope to see you all there. We have dropped tickets, NFT tickets, to all the holders of our VFriends Series 1. And we're just really looking forward to hosting our second conference in Indianapolis on May 18th.
Oh, that's amazing. I can't wait to be there. I will be there. I'm a huge VFriends fan. That's what got me into the space. So it's an honor and a privilege to be on stage with you, Andy. Thank you so much for sharing. The next question I want to get into, and this is like the title of the talk, right? The power of community. So I want to talk a little bit about how the community is sort of driving the success of your NFT project or your IP, whatever you're trying to build. How does community tie into what you're doing? And we'll start with Katie.
Thanks, Tim. So power of community community to me means everything. I am an OG VFriends. Gary Vaynerchuk is the person who onboarded me into NFTs and Web3. And so through the power of community is where Tim and I have connected. We started together, talked a lot about Gary's mission, which is what we like to spread. And so in the background, what I do is I network, and I actually host Web3 meetups in Boston, and I back channel people and try to network people together to move forward. I think power of community is so important. And even last night we had a get together with VFriends, Vayner Sports Pass. And the people that you meet that I've met in Web3, the smartest, most genuine people who want to get shit done. And I think the power of the community is it. And I know people say that's like a cliche phrase, but that's we're all building together. The community is who's going to power your project. And move you forward. So that's what I find is really, really important about community.
Thank you, Katie. And I just want to say personally, thank you so much for supporting me, not just with the back channel support and the likes and the retweets, but just financially with Katie is the biggest VectorBot holder. She's the VectorBot whale. And she has supported me since 2021. And just a little side story. In 2021, when I came here for the first time to NFT NYC, I met with Katie for the first time, and she told me that quitting my teaching job was the right thing to do, and I was in the right place. And I needed to hear that at the time, so thank you for saying that. And we'll move over to John. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I mean, so community, I agree. Like, community is at the heart of everything we do. So there are two things that we, at Toonstar, we focus on: storytelling and community. And I think when you think about storytelling doesn't exist without community. And I think that's how we approach stories. That's how we approach building IP and character worlds. In terms of like what we're doing with community is that our goal is to empower the community to engage with our projects, engage with the characters, build stories that are part of the canon of the project. So for, example, and I like to, sort of point to, tangible. I think this is helpful too in Web3, is just to like point to tangible examples, because I think a lot of times too, we just sort of talk about things sort of conceptually, and people, and I think as an industry, we're sort of in a place where we need education, and we need people to understand what Web3 is, and we need to understand the real use cases, so that it's not some sort of like abstract concept that people can't get behind. Because I think as a community, if our goal is to basically take Web3 to the mainstream, that understanding has to be there. So sorry, that's an aside, but that really might that's like an aside, but. My point is that, to point to tangible examples, and so in the case of the gimmicks is one that I can talk about. It's our first project, and what we did with communities, we put the storytelling in their hands, right? So we launched the project. When you're a token holder of the gimmicks, what you get to do is vote on the episodes, right? So straight out of the box, now you actually have influence on what's going to happen in the narrative episode to episode. We were actually doing weekly animated episodes, which, in the world of sort of animation is kind of unheard of in itself. But that's one way people got involved. Another way people got involved is we built a thing called a wiki. So you could take a wiki and you could write a backstory for your characters. You could write side storylines. And if your wiki was voted as most popular by the community, you actually got to voice your character as a cameo in an episode, which is, that's an unheard thing, but it's a really cool thing for the community, because all of a sudden now you get IMDb credit in a Mila Kunis produced, series. So that's real utility. And those are kind of the examples. And then the social graph, we gave the community the ability to, dick punch each other. And with the dick punch, they actually got to send I know, sorry, but that's what it's called. But they got to send each other like little, messages with their dick punch. And the idea there is that like that's a social graph, and a social graph is the basis of community. If you think about Web 2 and what, propelled Web 2 to what it became, it was the community, it was that social interaction, the social connection. So that's why we built the social graph, to do just that for the community. But yeah, that's some examples of what we're doing to drive how important community is to us, and how we're trying to empower community to build story worlds.
Well, Swagger Society members, I don't think we'll be dick punching each other, but we're all down for inclusivity. So you are more than welcome, John.
Thank you.
Anyone who says that community isn't currency, or that thought is cliche, isn't paying attention and isn't listening to the right drumbeat of the right communities. Swagger Society and my entire life's work is really based on movement, optimizing, our self-directed goals. And this is what I want to go deeper in with Swagger Society. And the linchpin of that is community. Some of y'all might know me in my role at Peloton. I am here today, individually. I remain totally devoted to the Peloton business, but Swagger Society is my own project. And it's an opportunity for me to go deeper on these principles that I have been researching, writing about, and espousing in every area of my life. So I want folks to join the kingdom of Swagger Society and have Swagger Society be their accountability partner, self-direct and identify what their next step is, and then in real life and virtual events and the reward system that we're building and the token-gated locker that we're building. And by the way, we're approaching Mint, so I've learned so much from your existing, VFriends communities, and I mean, Gary's media empire in general. But it's really exciting to me to be able to use Web3 technology to go deeper, right? So the fragmented DMs and comments that I lovingly receive on Web2 platforms isn't enough. If Instagram evaporates tomorrow, as a creator, I want to make sure I know where my people are and then they know where to find me and that we're building together. And what's really exciting being at the nascent stage, really the beginning line, approaching our first mint for Swagger Society, is that we are able to take our most engaged members and literally ask them, how do you want this to be built? What should we do? Like what utility, what rewards are even relevant to you? And then my life's work really, like I said, is lighting fires. And I think Swagger Society is going to be a home base for people who believe that more is possible for themselves and each other.
I love that. Community. I think everyone knows it's the lifeblood of, not just NFT projects, but companies and brands. And it's the lifeblood of VFriends. I think the challenge for VFriends and any NFT project is how you evolve with your community and what value you're giving your community. When we created VFriends Series 1, brainstorming what we wanted to do with launching that IP outside of the characters and sharing positivity and happiness was creating value for the community. And that's what VCon is about. And it's so cool to see Katie and Tim and to share the stage with them, because I know that VFriends was instrumental in having them be here today. And it allows me to take a step back and just think about the ways in which the VFriends community is evolving and continues to evolve, and the other ways that we can provide value outside of VCon. And it comes through listening and adjusting and changing. I always laughed a little bit at seeing the height of Mint projects in 2021 and the roadmaps they had, mostly because they're all the same, but also because I knew all of them were going to have to change and they were going to have to pivot. And VFriends' roadmap, I'm laughing thinking of Gary saying our roadmap is dominate, but that's really what it is. It's just every day waking up, listening to your community, hearing how they're reacting to your operations, and then just trying to come up with the best strategies day in and day out.
That's well said. And I can tell you personally, the VFriends community has changed my life. NFT community in general, but more specifically the VFriends community. Education, all that type of stuff is there. So if you do get a chance to go to VCon, check it out. It's definitely worth it. I'll be there. You can hang out with me too. So I'm going to switch it up. We're going to start with Andy this time with this question, because I feel like we want to make sure we get his answer here. Why Web3, Andy, instead of Web2?
Why Web3 instead of Web2? It's the future of the internet. To have, when I think of what Robin's doing with her project, we were just sharing a moment backstage. I think that's the future for everyone and anyone that looks like her, who has her own community, to be able to really own her audience and communicate with them without having any other intermediary. It's redefining what your relationship is with your audience, with your customers, with your consumers, and ownership. I'm excited for all the different innovation and technology that's going to have to happen to bring in more adoption into this space. But undoubtedly, I think it's the future of digital ownership. And whether NFT is a word that we're saying 5 years time or not, or if it's digital collectible or something, I think owning something online will be synonymous with how we're interacting every day. And people are going to stop asking questions about what is Ethereum and what is blockchain, and it's just going to be an everyday usage.
Yeah, I mean, real talk, I'm not a technologist. I don't care how my cell phone works. I don't care how half this technology works. I don't give a shit. What I care about is how I can engage, how my community can find each other, how we can use that to create a robust reward system, to be able to own my data, own my content, and in turn have my most engaged followers, invest and get something of value, of course, in return. The art is also really exciting to me. We are partnering with Molly Dixon for one of the first female-led generative PFP collections. So we're really, really proud of that. And Swagger Society is all about inclusivity. So we've actually included male, female, and non-binary art in our collection super intentionally. And, I think that the more we build bridges and start to demystify some of these concepts, whether it's saying digital asset instead of NFTs, right? So we've been really intentional in the language that we're using at Swagger Society, because all the tech bros are welcome, but I'm not building this for you. So that is the realty from my perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And I think, I guess why Web3, and going back to like part of our DNA, which is storytelling and building, character worlds. There's this concept called transmedia, and I don't know, how many people are familiar with that, but it's, it was pretty popular in, I want to say, sort of like early days Web 2, and this idea of transmedia is that you're telling stories and building characters through multiple mediums, right? So, and I always like to use, it's my, I come from the studio world, so I always like to use Mickey Mouse as sort of like an example of things. And so you think about Mickey Mouse and it's like, well, why do I love Mickey Mouse? Well, I love Mickey Mouse because I grew up, and this will date me, so spoiler alert, I'm Gen X too. But so I grew up with Mickey Mouse and I watched the Mickey Mouse cartoons. I go to Disneyland and I have an experience with the characters. I hug Mickey Mouse at Disneyland. I buy plush, I buy merchandise, and it's Mickey Mouse merchandise. So the idea is that there's a character and I'm building an intimate, direct connection with this character through narrative in different mediums is very powerful. And you don't have to look much farther than Disney. They are the gold standard for how it's done. That is transmedia. And so I think I would say sort of the biggest potential of Web3 is now you can take all those things and you can use Web3 as the backbone for that experience, right? You could not do that before. Think about Web2. I go to, TikTok, I go to Snapchat, I go, and I buy something in a store. All those things are done in isolation, especially Web2. All those things are happening on different platforms. So there's no through line, there's no one backbone that's connecting all your experiences in one place that's secure, and oh, by the way, that you control. And I think that, at least to us, again, is like, our vision, our goal in terms of building character worlds and entertainment franchise IP, that is the holy grail, and that is one of the things that Web3 allows you to do. I think the other part of it is control, and I think like being a creator in Web2, the other risk is like, hey, you wake up one day and TikTok changes the algorithm, YouTube changes the algorithm, and all of a sudden I'm reaching 10% of my audience. So what just happened to my control? And I think that's another promise of Web3 is like, now as a creator, storyteller, I can actually control my direct connection, my direct path to my audience. So I think those are two, to me, really fundamentally powerful examples of the potential of Web3.
And so for me, I believe so much in Web3 after talking with these people who are building behind the scenes now, and it's so quick, it's moving so quickly, talking to the builders and what their vision is I have 2 teenage daughters. I'm looking to really secure their future. And so that's why I believe that in Web3 that's coming. People say Web3 is not coming, Web3 is coming, NFTs are coming, blockchain technology is developing every day. And so I'm in it really for my family to secure them for the future.
Yeah, that's very amazing. I think why Web3 for me, and it goes back to what Robin was talking about owning your content, right? As a school teacher, I'd put things on Canvas and I'd put my lessons out there. I know for a fact that they're still using my lessons because they're very good. And I don't own them because I put them on Canvas and now the school owns it. So starting to think about that and what we can do and get the community involvement. So I'm an artist, I'm creating a project, you can check it out. They're crazy robots and they're really about mental health and raising awareness for acceptance and understanding and things like that. But really, it's been a collaborative effort because I'm just a white dude in my 40s with a very narrow perspective. So I need people like Katie, I need people like Andy and Robin to influence me and tell me what they want out of the project or what they are looking for in an NFT project and how I can represent different cultures and different peoples besides myself and my narrow viewpoint into the project. So for me, the Web3 is about collaboration and community and being able to reach out to those people. And we say we're early, and I think a lot of people think we may be months early, but really we're kind of years early. And so like the cement is still wet. And so I think that people just need to have a little bit of patience to see where it's going to go and sort of empathize with some of these founders out there that, you know, maybe your bags are down a little bit, but you got to understand that what these ideas that are being built, they just take time to implement and to really to build upwards. But when it starts to go, it's going to go quickly. And I'm really excited for it. So we've got a few minutes left. I've got one more question for everybody down here. So like, I know we've all got things coming up and we'll start going down the line. Like what are you excited about next in the next few months in Web3, Katie?
I'm excited for VCon. It's coming up quick.
Same.
That's what I'm excited for.
That's what I mentioned. So our next, and we call them story worlds. So story engines. So our first story engine was the gimmicks. The first season had a good run. Second season, we did the first all Latino animated series in Web3, which was called House of Chico, which actually was a spin-off from the first season of the gimmicks. So the idea actually came from the community and the wikis, the backstories they wrote. That was the basis for the second season. And so the gimmicks we're excited about because there's more to come. There's there's a third season coming. The project's gotten a lot of attention, and there's some really cool things in store for that. Our next story engine is going to launch in 2 weeks. It's actually going to premiere at Consensus, and so we're excited about that. I'm not allowed to say too much because they have I got prods and things attached to me that keep me in line, right? But it's exciting, and it's got it's a similar model to the gimmicks where we're using the same roadmap where it's participatory storytelling, unique community experiences, and it's going to have a lot of the same aspects of the gimmicks, but we're going to add some new things to sort of next level that for the community. So stay tuned for that.
Swagger Society is getting ready to mint, honey. So we're like all hands on deck. For me, I've got, our CMOs here, our CEOs here, our devs are like, thank God they do what they do. So I can focus on the principles, the values, the connection with the community, creating the reward system, the gated content, ideating on the merch, the art, all the stuff that, in our roadmap is forthcoming. But yeah, we're getting, we're like, the 10-second countdown to launch. So you want to find out more, check out Swagger Society on all platforms and on Robin NYC.
I am excited for VCon. I'm excited to continue to watch everyone's projects that we talked about on stage here today. And I'm excited to continue to keep growing the VFriends IP. And that will be done more through traditional Web 2 ways. First thing that comes to mind is compete and collect trading cards. We have VFriends trading cards. We're going to be in Chicago at the National Card Show, which will be a really cool event. And then, of course, VCon. And I hope to see you all there.
Yes.